the ancient Indian architecture, then it is good that we discuss about it. So, firstly, ma'am, you could share the slides. Yeah, yeah. So, firstly, coming to, I've been given the topic of Indian knowledge system, specifically focusing more on ancient Indian architecture. Now, firstly, when we speak about architecture, I would like to say that our ancient Indian architecture is the basis for the present architecture. We follow so many things. I'll be showing you several instances here. So, first of all, ancient Indian architecture, it is a remarkable fusion of art, spirituality, engineering. It reflects the country's rich cultural and historical heritage. When we go through the slides, you will get to know how rich our Indian architecture is, ancient architecture. Whatever we are doing it now, we all see it with awe. When we see some monuments right now, we all see it with awe, but this is all rooted so deep. And there's so many scientific principles involved in it. It's just not for aesthetic sense, but there's so much of scientific principles involved in it. We're going to see in the coming slides. It doesn't only look good, but it is also having that urban sophistication. If you see the Indus Valley civilization, which we will be seeing, or the diverse structures which we see in Ajanta and Ellora caves, or Sanchi Stupa, or different temples. All this, when we see, there's a meaning behind every construction. There is a scientific reasoning behind every construction that we're going to see it in detail. And all these constructions, they are characterized by some kind of symbolic geometry. There's a precise use of Vastu Shastra. Nowadays, once again, no, we are again reclaiming back all the ancient traditions. So in that one is Vastu Shastra also. So Vastu Shastra is again backed by science, and those intricate carvings and the stone artistry, all these architectural marvels, they demonstrate the aesthetic brilliance and the technical ingenuity. Means everything, whatever the way it is carved, there's a scientific reasoning behind it. We're going to see all those in detail. So, firstly, the architectural marvels of ancient India are a reflection of its rich cultural heritage, advanced engineering skills, and artistic brilliance. Ancient Indian architecture spans diverse eras and features temples, palaces, forts, and intricate sculptures. We're going to see all this in detail, the different styles of temples, palaces, forts, and all. And each period, it introduced unique styles and techniques, reflecting cultural, spiritual, and practical needs. Next slide, ma'am. Right. Now we're going to see it with all these, no ma'am, yeah. We're going to see with all these different eras. First is the Harappan art and architecture, then the Mauryan art and architecture, post-Mauryan art and architecture, and then Gupta architecture and South Indian architecture. So firstly, we're going to see in all these different eras, how the architecture, slowly you could see how it has been improvised and how today's architecture, the basis for today's architecture is definitely coming from the ancient architecture. So firstly, going up with Harappan art and architecture, ma'am. Yeah, so here you can see the great bath of Mohenjo-daro. So this here, no, this is, it's a major city of ancient Indus Valley civilization. Mohenjo-daro is a city of during the Indus Valley civilization. Presently, it is in Sindh, Pakistan. And it is, why did I start my slide with this is because, it is known for its advanced urban planning, sophisticated water. You could see those wells there, sophisticated water management, drainage system, all grid-like street layout. What we can see here, next slide. Here you could see here there is a grid-like street layout. See, right now where we are living, we are living because of the basis of all these kinds of civilizations. So the root some centuries back, long time back, this was all designed, and we are just upscaling it. So this Mohenjo-daro, because of its sophisticated urban planning, water management system, drainage system, and all vital. They had vital cultural, commercial, and administrative hub at that time. Long back, only when all these things were in place. We are just improvising over it. So whenever we speak about town planning, definitely Mohenjo-daro is a best example. It is a basis on which the present day town planning is made. Everything was segregated. Everything was in the form of grids. Means how we are having rooms right now in a home, how we have rooms right now. Back then also, all these things were shown in the Indus Valley. During Indus Valley civilization, all these structures were shown, but definitely they were not given names like how we have a drawing room, bedroom, kitchen. It was not shown like that, but definitely they had partitions for different setup. So that the existence came from there. So that is about Mohenjo-daro. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It showcases early urban life centuries back. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. So again, during the Mauryan art and architecture period, first one was Mohenjo-daro. The second best example I found was Ashoka pillar at Sarnath. So here you could see this is a stone column which is erected by the Mauryan Empire Emperor Ashoka. So here there are some inscriptions on it promoting, Dharma and Buddhism, with the famous lion capital. You could see that on screen, famous lion capital from Sarnath, which is serving as India's national emblem. The pillar, it features animal capitals like you have lions and elephant and bell-shaped lotus. Down you have bell-shaped lotus, which showcases the Mauryan craftsmanship. All right, so this is one of the highlight feature during the Mauryan era. Apart from that, you also have Sanchi Stupa. Next slide, ma'am. This Sanchi Stupa, this is presently located in Bhopal in MP. It is a Buddhist monument. Somewhere around, this is also by Ashoka Emperor during somewhere around 3rd century BC. And this is basically for Buddhist pilgrimage. Okay, this is all about the Tsunga art. Example of Mauryan and Tsunga art, when we write, we all talk about Sanchi Stupa. It is actually, it symbolizes spiritual devotion of that period. It is a monastery. It's a monastery basically for Buddhist. Next slide, ma'am. Modern art and architecture. This is this marks India's first major stone-based architecture. All the inscriptions or carvings are done on stone. Most of it are monolithic. Monolithic means made from one rock cutting. All right. So this is a major India's first major stone-based artistic experience, which features rock cut caves, pillars, stupas. It is all influenced by the Persian style. Mauryan art is all influenced by the Persian style. When we come to Gupta period, it is all influenced by India. Okay, you have these structured stone temples and all, but back then Mauryan art and architecture is all influenced by Persian style. You have these naturalistic sculptures, that is Yaksha, Yakshini figures. Okay, in all their inscriptions, you can see you have all Yaksha and Yakshini figures, all Buddhist themes. Basically, Mauryan art and architecture, it all encompasses about Buddhist theme. All right, next one, ma'am. Then these post-Mauryan art and architecture, then we have all our Ajanta and Ellora coming up here. We have these rock-cut caves. So the two most important ones are Ajanta and Ellora caves. So as you can see, this is one of the, and these most of these are all Buddhist monasteries. Okay, these are all Buddhist monasteries. Presently, Ajanta caves are in Maharashtra. They are all with Buddhist murals. There are these places, Ajanta cave, or when it comes to this is a period actually, which basically symbolizes about what do you call? It's all about the Buddhist period where they were where they were meditating, or else, development of the concept of meditation started from here, from these Buddhist monasteries. So there were two major areas to in this entire thing. There were two major areas wherein, if people have visited Ajanta and Ellora caves, what we get to see is that in these rock cut caves, there are two major portions. One portion is for the meditation, and other portion is the monasteries where the Buddhists remain, where they spend their time. Other portion is for, one is monasteries portion, where they simply remain, and where there are inscriptions, their teachings are all mentioned, and the other places for the meditation. These are the two major concepts that we see in Ajanta and Ellora. Ellora, you are having some temples, which I'll be talking in detail further. But here, basically, what we see is that in Ajanta caves, you can see Buddhist monasteries, means like gruhas, caves, where people, Buddhist monks, sat and did meditation, and which were inscribed with in the Buddhist language. You have several inscriptions, wherein you have all their teachings inscribed. And the other place was, where they basically, at that period of time, during that period of time, there was spiritual symbolism. There was a period of architecture where, there was both a blend of art and engineering. Apart from cultural expression, all these things you can see in their inscriptions. Art and cultural expression can be seen in their inscriptions. I think so. In the next slides, we could see that. Ma'am, go to the next slide. Next slide, where I have mentioned about inscriptions. Yeah, here, if you could see, if we could have zoomed the picture, what you can see is that, how how these rock cut caves, the Buddhist style of inscription. If you go deep, ma'am, can we enlarge it? Can you zoom it a bit? Yeah. Yeah, right. Ma'am, here, if you could see here in those grooves, what we could see, we can see the Sunga and Satvana dynasties inscriptions, enriched ancient Indian architecture. That was, they are built upon Mauryan foundations. All right, that the Brahut and the Amravati featured elaborate railings, and, the sculptural decorations. All these depict the Buddhist narratives. The Saka period, if you remember the Western Shatabda and the Saka period, which introduced foreign influences, that fostering that eclectic style. And these are all pioneering rock cut architecture. We also have these cave sites like Bhaja and Karta. People who have visited Ajanta, if you can remember the cave sites like Bhaja and Karta, they showcase monasteries and chaitas. Chaitas is a hall-like structure, with detailed facades and interior carvings, which reflects both the architectural skill as well as the devotion, the deep religious devotion, marking a very significant evolution in India's ancient architectural heritage. The inscriptions which were written there, those were the teachings. Now they are all, actually, most of the time, they are all spoiled now. The government is again trying to rebuild them, and it's not that clearly visible to us, and definitely we don't know that language, so it's very difficult for us to understand. But basically, the cave sites, especially the Baja and Karta caves, they showcase the monasteries and the chaityas, where, these intricate carvings, which talks about the architectural skill, is all seen in these regions. Next one, ma'am. Next, coming to the Ellora caves. Here, when we come to the Ellora caves, they are totally different because they speak about the temples. The basis, the basics. No, no, not this. Okay. Okay. Will. Okay. Cut the call. Cut the call. Mm. Mm. Okay. Not wrong. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry for the interruption. So next, coming to the Ellora caves. Here, they are the deepest aspects of ancient Indian architectural art. Here, they are also, again, when we come to the Ellora caves, they are also, they serve as monasteries. And we have elaborate sculptures here. The structures over here, they talk about the history and other religious stories that reflect the architecture and the artistic prowess. If you see in detail, there are inscriptions on it, which we are unable to see it here in the picture. But people who have visited this, they all talk about Buddhism. And when it comes to Ellora caves, cut the call. Mm. Yeah. When it comes to the Ellora caves, it is all about. I'm very sorry for the interruption. Uh, when it comes to the Ellora caves, it is all about the. Yeah. Yeah. Hello. 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 Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Right, right. Okay. So when it comes to the Ellora Caves here, this is Ellora Caves is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and here you are having we have around 34 caves in Ellora, and they all described about Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain culture. It showcases ancient Indian art and tolerance, and basically it is also again same like Ajanta. It is also monolithic, built up of one rock cutting only. And the temple culture started in Ellora cave. You basically, if you remember, cave number 16 or 18, I'm not that very sure, but 16 or 18, we have this Kailasha temple, which is carved from a single rock. That is called monolithic Kailasha temple. And it is somewhere around 600 AD, this. And basically our Ellora caves, the history spans from around 12th century, 6 to 12th century CE, and this is all rock cut architecture for Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. Then about Kailasha temple, and at that time there were Rashtrakuta rulers, and later the Jain caves. If you see the number of caves, when we are having totally 31 caves in this, you have Buddhist caves from 1 to 12, and from 13 we are having Hindu caves. I think so around till 30. From 13 to 30 it is Hindu caves, and then we are having from last 30 to 34 we are having Jain caves, and this is all during the time of Rashtrakuta ruling. And it's nothing but all this is about the intricate. They did it with hammer, nail and hammer. They have carved the entire rock just with nail and hammer at that period of time. It's all been ruined now. But basically, it is all about Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism. Um, when I'm talking about architecture, it is monolithic. That is made up of single rock, and it is made with ancient tools. Only two tools. That is nail or chisel and hammer. And right now we are having all drilling machines, but that the concept remains the same. The machinery that we have used is advanced, but then also even now we are having certain sculptures made up of monolithic rock cuttings only. So that's about Ajanta and Ellora. Next one, ma'am. Then we are coming to Gupta architecture. So till now we saw Mauryan. Post-Mauryan was Ajanta and Ellora. In Mauryan period we saw Mohenjo-daro and we saw Sanchi Stupa. Post-Mauryan we saw Ajanta and Ellora. Now came our Gupta architecture. Gupta architecture is the golden period. It is generally known as the golden age. And here no, we are having all structured stone temples. This is all Indian style. Mauryan period and post-Mauryan period is all influenced by Persian style. Okay, but when it comes to Gupta architecture, it is all influenced by Indian style. The iron pillar of Delhi, all this, in Gupta period, this is known as golden period, and here the transition took from wood to stone. Basically, that this is a period where there is a transition from wood to stone. So here you can see this is a very famous temple of Diogra. And one more important thing during this uh, Gupta period is that the kind of it gave the beginning for Hinduism. Okay, during this period we had the beginning of Hinduism, and means all definitely we still had all our what do you say, Mauryan, all those the traditions were carried forward, but basically we had this Vishnu and Shiva temples coming up, construction of Vishnu and Shiva temples during the Gupta period. um, Apart from Buddhism, we had the construction of Vishnu and Shiva temples. This Diogra temple, which is a Dashavatara temple. During this period, you have the construction of the temple, wherein you can see a perfect harmony in design, proportion, ornamentation. All this was reflecting the aesthetic beauty and spiritual significance. So, basically, in this Gupta age, the ancient architecture in India during this period, it combined about artistry as well as religious devotion that we could see here. So we
Ma'am, you're not audible, ma'am. Participants, kindly stay with us. I think ma'am is undergoing some technical issues. She'll be joining us very soon.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the interruption. There's a power cut here. Let's switch on this. Yeah. So, switch on this. Uh, So we were talking about Gupta period. So this Gupta period is called Golden Age of Art and Architecture. So here, as I told you, apart from the Buddhist monasteries, we also have construction of iconic Vishnu and Shiva temples. So here on slide, what you can see is the Dashavatara temple in Deoghar. This is actually showcasing. It's a temple which showcases a perfect harmony in design, proportion, and ornamentation. Okay. So here in this Gupta period, apart from rock cut architecture, we also see, which we already saw in Ajanta and Ellora caves in post-Mauryan period, we could also see temples, temple style, the artistic canvases and the monastic retreats, all these things, we could also see it here. There was a blend of actually sanctity and visual splendor in this particular period, but slowly we were progressing towards Hinduism from Gupta period. Next slide, ma'am. Then coming to the South Indian architecture, that is the temple styles. So slowly here in South Indian architecture, here came the existence of the Dravidian style, which features towards gopurams and the temple complexes. Here is the Chola dynasty existing. The Chola dynasty is the Brihadeshwara temple. All these temples, different styles of temples, will be seen in South Indian architecture. So here specifically, under temple styles, we are having three temple styles here: Nagara style, Dravida style, and Vesara style. All right, Vesara style. So here now in detail we are going to see. We are actually, if you go to the next slide, when you see, we are having seven different temple styles, but these three temple styles remained very prominent. Okay, we are having these many temple styles, but the next slide, ma'am. But three temple styles remained very prominent. The first, all right. That was Nagara style. So Indian temple architecture, no, basically is classified. Go to the next slide, ma'am. Basically is classified into three styles. One is called Nagara style, Dravida style, and Vesara style. The Nagara style is the North Indian style, all right, and the Dravida style is South Indian style, and the Vesara is actually a blend of both styles. Each of these styles they reflect regional influences. Okay, the regional influences and the traditions, the cultural traditions and the architectural lineage, all this showcases, the diversity and richness of the temple design across India. So now, firstly, if you can see in the slide, here you're having the Nagara style. Now, in this Nagara style, as I told you, it is the North Indian temple style. If you see the switch it on. If you see the construction of the temple over here, the how is the temple Gopuram, especially the Gopuram part of the temple, if you can see here top, what we see here is the these temples, they have a what do you call beehive shaped shikara. You see the topmost part of the temple. You could see the topmost part of the temple. It is not like the South Indian temple, which is pointed. The gopurams are not pointed with a kalisham on the top, but you have it is bit broad. The topmost part of the temple, the cone of the temple is bit broad, so beehive shaped shikara. This terminology is given. Nagara type of Nagara style of temple, they have a beehive shaped shikara, that is a tower, and the garbhagruha, that is the what we call the sanctum sanctorum, that sits just beneath the shikara. Okay, and as we have opposite to the Gardha in the Dravidian style of temples, exactly the Sanctum Sanctorum, or the place where the God is placed, no, that is exactly opposite to the Garuda Stambham. But here in this Nagara style, no, it is exactly beneath, so they don't have these Garuda Stambham. In Nagara style of temples, they do not have Garuda Stambham. In fact, the cone of the temple, the topmost
peak of the temple is a beehive shaped tower, and the Garbhagriha or the Sanctum Sanctorum is exactly beneath that beehive shaped tower or shikara. And it is then, surrounded by many miniature replicas called, we call it as Urushringas. Urushringas. And the best example is the Kajuro temple. If you can see, if people have visited there, go to the next slide, ma'am. Go to the next slide. If you can see, here you can see the topmost part, the cone part, the vertex part of the temple is broad. Unlike the South Indian temples, people who have seen the South Indian temples, the topmost part is narrow, cone-like shape. But here you can see it is just like a beehive. It is flat, and then there is a peak coming. So the best example is this Rameshwar temple in Rameshwar Deola temple in Bhubaneswar. You also have this Khajuraho temple in Madhya Pradesh, then in Jagannath temple in Odisha. Next slide, ma'am. Only these are the slides of the temple. Raja Rani temple in Bhubaneswar. All these, if you can see, can you see the temple styles over here? How they are not a peak. The cone of the temple is not peak, it is broad. So this is a style of temples in North India. It is called Nagara style of temple. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. Now this is Konark Sun Temple. So here also again you can see the peak is not broad. Okay, the peak is not narrow, cone shape, but it is broad. Okay, this is a sundial. I wanted you to see the sundial, so people could just make out by counting the cone with the sun's rays falling on this wheel. They could exactly tell us the time, what time, whether it is morning or afternoon. Crude, and definitely not in minutes and seconds, but a crude time was told depending upon the sun's rays falling on these wheels. They could tell us the time. Next slide, ma'am. Okay. Now coming to the Dravidian style of temples. Now this Dravidian style of temple is basically predominant in South India. Here, if you can see the peak of the temple, the topmost part of the temple, this is narrow, pencil-like, very sharp. Whereas previously in the northern, in the Nagaras type of temple, it was broad. Here, the peak of the temple is very narrow. So this is the Dravidian style, which is prominent in South India. And you are having a gopuram. The towering peak is called a gopuram. And then important feature of this Dravidian style of temples or the South Indian temples, that they have sprawling complex, very big complexes. Okay, several gopurams are there, and then you are having a lot of area, complex in the sense, a lot of empty area wherein people can sit and meditate and relax and think about God. These temples, they had very high walls. And the Vimanas. Vimana is a concept saying from where God has entered into this Gopuram. Okay. The site from where the deity has entered into the Gopuram, from where the spirit has entered into the Gopuram. Those are, so they had very high walls and Vimanas, and structure over the Garbhagriha. Okay, this is very stepwise. It is stepwise and it rises in the form of a pyramid. Okay, then what else? So some of the temples, ma'am, go to the next slide. You could see some of the temples, like this is the Meenakshi Amman temple in Madurai. And in the same way, the architecture is very the walls and the pillars of the temple, no, what they showcase is the stories that depict from the Hindu text. Every other temple has got a story, and everything is encrypted on the walls of the temple, on the idols that are placed on the temples, the carvings which are done on the temples. Each and every carving has definitely got a story, and like that, I have just put up some of their temple styles. I hope I'm clear to you all. Is my voice audible, and am I clear to you all? The difference between the North Indian temples and the South Indian temples. North Indian temples, the peak is very broad, whereas when it comes to that is the type of architecture that was done in that period of time. Okay, and in South Indian temples, the peaks are very narrow. And there's once again the prana pratishtha that happens. It happens at a specific place. So they are definitely magnetic plates which drawing the energy for where the particular deity is planted. The particular deity is planted in that position wherein there is more magnetic field. So that's the reason, we when we enter the temple, we go barefooted, so that with the touch of our feet with the to the on the temple premises, we also, all the five chakras which are there in our body, they are balanced, and we try to come in alignment with our body and mindfully concentrate on the deity. That is the basic scientific concept of walking barefoot in the temple, because the place where exactly the temple is constructed is a place scientifically where all the energies are at one place. Every other place the temple is not constructed. The temple is constructed with a particular area, particular region, and based on the Vastu Shastra only, the idol is placed. So, and we circumambulate or we do pradakshinas in that particular area, so that we harness that energy on under which the deity is placed. We also harness, our body also receives that energy, so that we are in alignment with our soul, and we consciously can meditate or think upon the problems or whatever we have in our mind. Okay, so that is the basic concept of temple. But here, right now, we are not talking about philosophy, we are talking about architecture. So that was a temple style in northern area. This is a temple style in southern area. Next one, ma'am. So another example was Rajgopala Swami temple. Here you can see the intricate carvings inside. Next one, ma'am. Then the Shore temple at Mahabalipuram. Here also, if you can see the peak of the temple, it is pointed. Whereas in North India, it was not pointed, it was broad. Next one, ma'am. So, and one more important thing in the South Indian temples, that you have several gopurams. Unlike North Indian temple, where the gopuram will be only one, and then you all have mandalas, all flat mandalas. Whereas when it comes to South Indian temples, you will have several gopurams. Okay, several gopurams, and under each gopuram there is a deity placed. Then you will also have a Mahagopuram where the main deity of the temple is placed. Apart from that, you are having several other gopurams also where the deities are placed, unlike North Indian temples or the Nagara style of temples. Next one, ma'am. Now, this is a third style. This is a Vesra style of temples. So, this is a blend. This is a mixture of Nagara and Dravidian, or the South Indian type of temple. Mm. South Indian type of temple. So the architecture is a blend of the Nagara and the Dravidian architectural elements. And this is basically seen in the Deccan region. Okay, this style has emerged as a hybrid. It is a hybrid incorporating the north square-based structures, the Gopuram square-based structures, and the south's, the peak, the circular motifs, the peak structures. So the Vesara style is having a blend of both the broad peak structure and the circular motifs. Both you can see. So some of the best examples, what you can see here, initially it is in this Vesara style of temple, you could see it is broad, and then the peak is very pointed, broad based on, and on the broad step you have a peak like structure. Okay, you can see the temples of during the Chalukya's dynasty temples, like the Virupaksha temple at Virupaksha temple is at Patadakal. In the Patadakal, we have this Virupaksha temple. Then go to the next slide, ma'am. Yeah, the Chennakeshava temple in Sunakpura. Here also you can see. I hope you people are understanding how the Gopuram style is. So here also you are having, in some places you are having one Gopuram, some places you are having more than 2, 3 Gopurams. We can only tell the style of the temple depending upon the peak, what we see on the temple. So here also you can see it is broad, and then you have a pointed region. So these are all Vesara type of temples. Go to the next slide, ma'am. Now, so that was all about temples. So temple styles, we had Nagara, Dravidian and Vesara type of temples. Nagara is a North Indian temple, Dravidian is a South Indian temple, and Vesara is a cusp or a blend of the North and South Indian type of temple. So basically, uh, uh, what influence, before we entering into the palace architecture, what influenced the construction of such type of temples in certain areas? Why the southern temples had a peak, and why the northern temples had a beehive like flat base structure, and then we had some the Deccan region which had a cusp or a blend of both basement and then a peak on it. This is all because of the what exactly influence people to construct temple in this style. What could be the reason for people to construct temple in this style? Are there any guesses what could be the reason? Hello, 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 ma'am.
Ma'am,
Can
you're
anyone
audible.
guess about why the temple styles were different based on the regions? What could be the reason? Can anyone make a guess of it? All right. All right, but at least I hope I'm clear to an extent, because this power cut is actually disturbing my entire focus. It's 3 times that the power has gone, come, and I'm working on UPS right now. So the slide is quite dim to me. I can't see the slide very clearly as of now. But anyways, this is the architecture design at the time, depending upon the area, was very sporadic or random. There was no particular. Just people started, this style. It was later that people uh, felt, yes, even this style can be built in this area. But there was no particular reason. There was no concrete reason for why the temple was built only in this style in this area, and why in this style in southern area or this style in northern area. There was no concrete reasoning behind it. But later on, people, when they later on started realizing, then came the Vesara style, where all kinds of temples were built. It was sometimes even in the southern region we had a northern architecture where Nagara type of temple built, but at that time basically it was just going with the wind. They were just going with the flow. What kind of temple was already existing, a similar pattern of temple was built, but there was no uh, concrete reasoning behind why only such type of temples were built in a particular area. So there is no scientific reasoning for it, but definitely there was a presence of scientific energy, magnetic field in the temple premises. Right now I'm not talking about the spiritual part of it, but the internal part of the temple was based on science. But the style of the temple was just copying one person after the other. The rulers just copied one another, and that particular style followed. But there was no concrete reason for why people had built such kind of temple in that particular area. Now, next, coming to the palaces. So same like temples also, here you could see the palace architecture, how it varied from place to place. So this is a palace architecture of the Rajput palace, how it is very wide. It is not vertical, but more elaborated in the horizontal portion. Okay, so it's just like a long corridor. And in this Rajput palace, what we have to focus more is on the windows. More, they believed in more number of having more number of windows, means more amount of ventilation. The concept behind the building of such kind of palace is that what is told in the text is that they had more now such these Rajput palaces had more number of windows. Okay, that you can see it even in the picture here. All these are doors and then windows inside. So it was a not in the vertical direction, but more spread horizontally. This is a Rajput palace. Next one, ma'am. Then you have this Mughal palace. Mughal palace basically focused on vertical building. Okay. And minarets. They had minarets. Minarets means those peaks, and where you had their soldiers standing, and what we see in movies now also, soldiers standing and safeguarding the palace. So you could see the style of the Rajput palace is totally different from that of a Mughal palace. Here, the focus is not on windows or anything, but instead the focus is all about the minarets, how it has been raised up, and every place wherever minarets were there were soldiers who were safeguarding the empire. Next one, ma'am. And this is how a Kerala palace looks like. It actually doesn't look like a palace in our Norman right now in these days. Uh, Palace, we have a different assumption in our mind about palace, but this is how a Kerala palace looks like. So it is all about those. The ceiling is totally different from this is all stone ceiling, which tries to keep them warm during. No, I'll continue in this. Which tries to keep them warm during cold conditions, and at the same time, which tries to keep them warm during cold conditions, and which tries to keep them cool during summer conditions. That is the point which is mentioned in the text with regards to this Kerala palace. This is how a Kerala palace looks like, the construction. Next one, ma'am. This is a Gujarati Haveli. So once again, they also belonged in elevated structures, vertically elevated structures. The height, if you could remember, the first Rajasthani palace, that was more like spread horizontally. This is more in the upward direction. And here also, they also believed in the concepts of doors and windows, having more number of doors and windows, and they were intricate designs on these palaces also, just for aesthetic value. Next one, ma'am. This is the Bengali Rajbari. This is also a palace, Bengali palace. More looks like a parliament building actually. Here also you could see um, more about they didn't believe in going on floors, first floor, second floor, but it's all in the ground floor, and spread across, u-shaped, spread across. This the concept what is told about Bengali Rajbari is that it's all spread across the land area, and not raising buildings in the upward direction, means all only first floor buildings for them. Next one, ma'am. Then this is our Kakatiya Palace of Telangana, and very much widespread, very much spacious. And Kakatiya Palace, the intricacies of Kakatiya Palace is that you have the building, the walls of the building. The history is written. The history is engraved on the walls of the building of this Kakatiya Palace about their warriors, the number of wars they have won, and the stories of their warriors is inscribed on the walls of these building. But this is also a very Kakatiya Palace looks like a palace actually. How we assume a palace, very spacious, and unlike Kerala Palace, or unlike this is very much similar to the Mysore Maharaja Palace. The Kakatiya Palace is very much similar to the Mysore Maharaja Palace, wherein there are several rooms which we don't see in the Bengali Rajbaris or in the Kerala Palace. We don't see. They are all limited, but these are all. This is Mysore Palace. You could see here very much similar. Here also, again, it is very much widespread. The dimensions of the room are very, very big, unlike the other palaces. Okay, when you talk about architecture over here, the Kakatiya Palace or the Mysore Maharaja Palace, all this give rise to the aesthetic sense, the beauty, how it looks from outside, the elevation, how it looks from outside, unlike the other palaces. Next one, ma'am. Maratha architecture, Lakshmi Vilas Palace, Kolhapur. So here also you could see, and these the most the you have a sprawling courtyard for this kind of palace, especially all the palaces which are built with Maratha architecture. There is a huge courtyard which is not seen in other palaces like Kakatiya Palace. This is mentioned in the text that they believe in a courtyard for Maratha architecture palaces, but very much very elaborate. And they also, but minarets are not there. Unlike our Mughal palace, the first one which we saw, there are no minarets here. Next one, ma'am. This is a Himachali palace, Kinnaur architecture, wherein the roof of the palace is to protect you from cold. That is what is written in the textbooks. About this palace, what is written is that the roofing, the ceiling of the palace is basically to protect you from cold condition. And the rooms are not that very spacious, and they're very countable in number, unlike the Vadiyar Palace or Mysore, that is this Mysore Maharaja Palace or the Kakatiya Palace. Here, the rooms are very countable, measurable, and the dimensions of the rooms are very small. There are no inscriptions or no engravings on the walls of the palace. What we have seen for all the palaces of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, on the palaces, we can see some inscriptions, either the history of the ruler or else the stories of the martyrs are inscribed. But here in this Himachali palace, it just looks like a simple house. Worth thing that is mentioned about Himachali palace is their ceiling structure. The ceilings are very high ceiling they have, and the roof protects you from the um, climatic conditions, very cold climatic conditions. It will protect us. That's it. The ceilings are very high. Next one, ma'am. Avadi architecture, the very beautiful architecture. This is also inscribed on the walls of in the elevation itself. You can see there are inscriptions. There are inscriptions. There are mural art and paintings on the walls of legendary people. Their paintings are on the walls. Avadi art, you have legendary paintings on the walls of the palace, and they are also having. This is also a minaret. Minaret means those peaks with a gumbas and a peak on top of it. This is this kind of architecture you can see in Avadi architecture. What you can see, no, you have this gold gumbas like the gumbas, and on it you have minarets, which we have seen in the first palace, Mughal palace, that you can see again in Avadi architecture. Amongst all the palaces that we have seen, Avadi architecture is the most expressive architecture. Means, a lot of aesthetic sense in this kind of palace. The palace which is built here, it expresses architecture. Means, there are many inscriptions. What the design of the palace, the intricate pillars which are there inside the palace. This is the outside view. Inside the palace, also the pillars which are there, everything depict the history of the people who have lived there. That is told about Avadi palaces of Uttar Pradesh, Avadi architecture. Next one. Chettinad Palace. This is in Shivaganga. So it actually looks like a temple. Where the other photos which I have seen, basically it looks like a temple because there are shrines inside the palace also. There are religious shrines inside the palace. There are dormitories here, and this kind of palace, it has also got underground rooms, which we have not seen in other palaces. It's not mentioned. In this Chettinad Palace, a striking feature is that we have also got underground rooms where all their gold, silver was kept hidden in their. This is a feature which is mentioned. They have shrines and they have underground rooms where all their feed for the animals, or there for them also their feed as well as gold and silver. All these were stored in the underground basement area. That is about, and the style is always like this white color, white and green, white and red. elevations are seen in Chettinad Palace. Next one, ma'am. This is a Kashmiri palace. It looks like a fort actually. This is how it looks, and the number of rooms are also very countable, and they also have a sprawling campus. They have a sprawling campus. The rooms are countable, and there are sections. Actually, the ceiling is very low. The ceiling of a Kashmiri palace is very low, and the number of rooms are countable. And it is just like bogies, dabba railway bogies. How you have the rooms are the palace is constructed in such a way. The ceilings are low roof ceilings, and they have a courtyard in front of their palace. All right, next one. This is a Sikh Palace of Punjab, Sikh architecture. This is how it looks with lot of columns. Columns to Sikh architecture. It is all of column style. Lot of columns. How we see in a court, in a high court, Supreme Court, how we are having those columns, no, very much similar to that. All right. A lot of columns, and here there are no. Here also, once again, the ceiling roof of the ceiling is low, and here also they are having underground rooms. One is Chettinad Palace, other one is the Sikh Palace, which is having underground rooms. And here the underground rooms are not only for storage; it is also for travel. Okay, I think so. Tunnel traveling for the sake of tunnel traveling. Next one, ma'am. This is Chaumala Palace of Hyderabad. This is basically, a lot of elegance in this palace. Here also you have scriptures written in Urdu on the walls of the palace, and in this palace you have many darbars. Compared to rooms, there are many darbar means halls. Many halls compared means one hall for dancing, one hall for singing, one hall for poetry recitation, one hall for meeting, one hall for cooking. So like that, no, this Chaumala Palace, Telangana style palace, basically influenced by Urdu architecture, basically all of aesthetic sense, a lot of halls. Compared to rooms, the number of halls in this kind of palace, the architecture is you have more number of halls compared to rooms, and the ceiling height is very high, and most of more visually they are very good to see. Means the moment we see the palace, it will soothe our eyes. Aesthetic sense of the palace is too high. In palaces, how do they rate the palace? By seeing the aesthetic sense and the roof height, and the number of rooms. So um, Avadi Palace stands first. Avadi architecture stands first. Then comes this Chaumala, where it is very good for to see. Next one. Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh, this is a Malwa architecture. This is how it looks. So here, um, there are windows. There are windows here also, but comparatively very less. A lot of closed structures, but there are intrications even on the walls of this kind of palace. There are a lot of inscriptions here also, and what else is see the roof size. The roof size is also high in this palace, and there is no column structure building. In other palaces means no, the walls are supported on columns, but in this kind of palace in Malwa architecture, there is only broad column building. There is no single column building. Okay, the ones in architecture language, what is written for this particular palace is that there is only broad column building and no single column building. Means the palace stands only on broad columns. There are only 4 or 5 columns which are very broad, which hold the weight of the palace. There is no single column built. Normally, all the buildings, generally speaking, also the buildings are stand on columns. But in this Malwa architecture, the building stands on broad columns, minimum number of broad columns. There are windows, but comparatively less than others, and the the ceiling height is very high. Next one, ma'am. Then coming to the forts. The Golconda Fort. This is built by the Kakatiya dynasty. We all know that, and then it was extended by the Qutub Shahi rulers. And it is an engineering marvel actually because of the acoustic systems, advanced acoustic systems over here, and the water management system of this particular Golconda Fort. That's very remarkable. The design, the strategic design, and the gates, the colossal gates. This is all the the military brilliance of ancient India. Fort is generally, wherein they safeguard the palace from the invaders. Forts are built to safeguard the palace from the invaders. So basically, Golconda Fort, which is present in Hyderabad, Telangana, it is a military brilliance. Um, because of the all the other things like the water management system or the gate system or the design is in Golconda photos like that. Next one, ma'am. Okay, this Chittorgarh Fort, this is in Rajasthan. I guess this is the largest fort in India. This is the largest fort in India, and it symbolizes that Rajput resilience, the Rajput valor and resilience. And this fort is around 700 acres of land, and it there are normal palaces, numerous more amount of palaces in this fort, palaces, and within the palace you have palaces, temples, reservoirs, all these within the 700 acres only. You are having palace inside the fort, you have temple, you have reservoir, the architectural design, and once again you have very much intricate carvings. They tell us a story of bravery and sacrifice of their rulers. Chittorgarh Fort. Next, ma'am. This mm, this is a Haveli, which I think so it has come here. Go to the next slide, ma'am. Okay, only two forts I have told. Okay, then this is a Chandbori. This is one of the step wells in India. How water was managed. Of late, no, right now, actually, what are step wells? Step wells, where the water management system. Step wells talk about the water management system, and right now the same concept is once again reclaiming itself, but most of them are into the ruins. We are right now, the government is trying to, every state government is trying to, clear it off because we have dumped it with all our plastic waste and everything. Right now, the government is trying to clear it off and see that we once again use these step wells for proper water management. In the olden days, we had step wells for water management. So this is one of the example, Chandbori. Next one, ma'am. Then this Modhera Sun Temple, very, very famous step well it is. This is also again for the proper water management. Different style, different places, you have different styles of step wells, which are basically for water management. Next one. Yeah, this Ranki Vav step well at Patan. This is a different style of step well. Uh, Wherein, very near to the water table, and it is a kind of water harvesting system wherein the purity and the content is retained even during the drought period. But of late, because we have other advanced methods of water management, these have turned into ruins wherein we have dumped it with plastic and other kind of dump. Once again, to reclaim our ancient architecture, every state government has issued orders to clean it so that we revive the concept of step wells in proper water management. That's it. Next one, ma'am. I guess it's done. Right. I'm sorry for the inconvenience because of the loss of power, but if there's anything that you could question, I'm here to answer.